My dear friend, pull up a chair, will you? I'm 80 years old now. Name's Paul Walker, not the one from the movies, mind you. I'm the real deal. Creaky knees, age spots, a mysterious glint in my eye, and a garden so beautiful it could make an angel cry. And today, I want to talk to you about something close to my old but stubborn heart. Gardening. Not as a chore, but as a lifesaver, a soul soother, and one heck of a therapist after the age of 65. Now, you might be thinking, Paul, what's so special about planting tomatoes and pulling weeds? Well, my friend, sit tight, because by the time I'm done telling you this story, you might just run outside, dig your hands into the earth, and discover parts of yourself you didn't even know were lost. Chapter 1. When the world slowed down, my garden spoke up. I retired when I was 66, after decades of working behind desks, dealing with people who thought urgent meant yesterday, and eating microwave lunches like they were gourmet meals. I suddenly had time. Time to think. Time to breathe. Time to realize I had no idea what the hell to do with myself. At first, I tried the whole senior routine. TV, naps, reading the newspaper 3 times like it'd change. But boredom settled in like a fog. My joints hurt, my mood was low, and the silence of the house felt like it was pressing in on me. Then one day, this was in early spring, I remember, 'cause the robins were shouting like drunk uncles outside. I found myself staring at the patch of overgrown weeds behind the house, and I thought, why not? I grabbed an old rusty spade from the garage. 10 minutes in, my back screamed at me like an ex-wife during a heat wave. But friend, let me tell you something. That 10 minutes, it was the most alive I'd felt in weeks. I had purpose, I had sweat, and best of all, I had dirt under my nails. Chapter 2. Nature doesn't rush, but it gets everything done. The more I dug, the more I discovered. Not just about soil and seeds, but about myself. Turns out gardening teaches you more about life than a therapist ever could. That patience ain't just a virtue, it's a bloody necessity. You plant a seed, you water it, and then you wait. You don't scream at the ground or yank on the stem yelling, "Hurry up!" Nope. You wait. You observe. You adapt. And in that waiting, something magical happens inside you. Your heart rate slows, your thoughts stop buzzing, and the silence, it becomes a melody. I started every morning with coffee in one hand and a hose in the other. It was like my own meditation session, except instead of sitting cross-legged chanting Om, I was whispering to carrots and humming to basil. Hook time, friend. Did you know that getting your hands in soil actually releases serotonin, your brain's happy chemical? That's right, dirt's got the power to lift your mood. That's why I call it Mother Earth's antidepressant. Chapter 3. The garden grew, and so did I. You see, I wasn't just growing tomatoes, I was growing resilience. I was watering away the bitterness of old age. Pulling weeds out of the ground felt like pulling weeds from my soul. You ever watch a sunflower track the sun all day? It's like nature's own GPS system. Made me think, if that dang plant can keep looking toward the light, maybe I can too. And let me tell you, that first harvest, oh baby, I held up a cherry tomato like it was Simba from The Lion King. Took a bite, and I swear to you, it tasted like hope. Not store-bought, not processed, just real, juicy, sun-kissed victory. Chapter 4. The garden brought company, and that's not always a bad thing. Here's a juicy bit for you. My gardening hobby turned me into the neighborhood's unofficial tomato grandpa. Kids would wander in, curious about the worms. Teenagers came by to take selfies with the sunflowers, and the single widow next door, Martha, started dropping off extra lemonade every other afternoon. Now listen, I'm not saying gardening will get you a date, but I ain't saying it won't either. You want to feel young again? Watch something grow because you made it happen. Want to feel connected? Invite someone to pull weeds with you. Nothing gets folks talking like dirt and sunshine. Chapter 6. My health? It got a wake-up call. Look, I'm not some miracle case, but I'll tell you straight, my doctor started raising his eyebrows in disbelief. Blood pressure? Down. Sleep? Better. Joints? Looser. Stress? Lower than a gopher's basement. And I didn't even change my diet. Well, okay, maybe a little. Hard not to when you got a salad bar growing in your backyard. But gardening itself is exercise. It gets your blood moving, your lungs puffing, and your muscles doing stuff they hadn't done in years. I used to dread bending down. Now I call it squat therapy. Here's your friendly reminder, friend. If you're over 65, every little bit of movement counts. Gardening ain't just stretching your back, it's stretching your life. Wait a second, friend. Before we keep going, if you're enjoying this little heart-to-heart we're having and maybe feel a little inspired to get your hands dirty, why not give a quick like, leave a comment sharing your favorite plant or weed disaster. And hey, subscribe to the channel for more old man wisdom straight from the soil and soul. I ain't got no TikTok dance moves, but I've got stories that'll grow on you like ivy on an old brick wall. All right, now let's get back to it. Chapter 6. Weather and Storms, Literal and Emotional. You ever lose a whole row of lettuce to hail overnight? Or watch your prize roses get chewed up by beetles like they were in an all-you-can-eat buffet? Heartbreaking, right? But that's life. Gardening taught me that no matter how carefully you plan, nature's gonna throw some curveballs. And the best you can do? Replant. Try again. Don't give up just 'cause a few seeds didn't make it. Same goes for life after 65. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe your body's not what it used to be. Maybe you feel invisible in a world obsessed with youth and speed. But friend, you're not done yet. You've got roots, and deep roots weather storms better than shallow ones. Let me get real with you for a second. There were mornings when I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the guy staring back at me. The wrinkles, the sag, the white hair that looked like more ash than snow. But outside, in the garden, I wasn't 80. I was ageless. I'd kneel down next to a seedling, talk to it like an old pal, and suddenly all those years melted away. The garden didn't judge. It didn't care how old I was, how slow I moved, or how often I farted when I bent over. It just welcomed me. Every single time. Chapter 8. Lessons from the Leaves. So what's the real takeaway here? Gardening isn't just about plants. It's about presence. It's about waking up every day with a reason to step outside, take a deep breath and say, I'm still here. It's about building something beautiful, even in the autumn of your life. And it's about letting go. You can't control everything, weather, pests, squirrels with bad manners, but you can choose how you respond. Me, I choose to laugh, plant again, and enjoy the ride. Now, where were we? Yes, right after I'd told you about how gardening became my mirror, my sanctuary, and my squat therapy session all rolled into one. Now buckle in, because this half of the story goes deeper. Deeper into the soil of life, into loss, into laughter, and into the kind of healing you don't get from any pill bottle. Chapter 9. the day my garden nearly broke me. Let me tell you about the summer of my 72nd year. It was brutal. The sun was cruel. The cucumbers shriveled like old gossip, and my roses burnt toast. But that wasn't the worst of it. That same month, I lost my old dog, Benny. He'd been my shadow for over a decade, always right behind me while I weeded, sniffing every corner of the garden like it was made of bacon. When he passed, I didn't just grieve, I shut down. I didn't water, didn't plant, didn't care. The garden turned wild, like my soul, and it got ugly. But one morning, I'll never forget it, I noticed a single snapdragon blooming right in the middle of a dry, cracked patch, like it refused to let the world's sadness stop it from doing its thing. And I thought, if that stubborn little flower can bloom again, maybe I can too. So I got up, wiped my face, picked up the hose, and whispered, "All right, buddy, let's grow." Chapter 10. The Memory Beds. As I got older, I started doing something different in the garden. I made what I call memory beds. One for my late wife, roses and violets, her favorite colors. One for Benny, dog-safe herbs and little paw stones I carved myself. One for my grandkids, full of strawberries, sunflowers, and chocolate mint. They call it Grandpa's Candy Row. Why do I do this? Because a garden holds more than just food. It holds memories, emotions, echoes of voices that once laughed beside you in the sun. Plant something for someone you miss, and I promise it won't bring them back, but it'll bring you peace. Chapter 11. Dirt Therapy Greater Than Talk Therapy. Look, I ain't against therapy. I tried it once. The doc was nice enough, asked me about my feelings, handed me tissues before I even cried. But me, I like my therapy with sweat, sunshine, and a bit of back pain. Gardening gives you problems to solve, where to plant, how to keep squirrels from turning your corn into a buffet, what the heck is eating your lettuce at night. It distracts you, it grounds you, literally, and it gives you this wonderful sense that life, no matter how old you are, still needs you to participate. You matter. You belong. You're part of a system, just like the bees, the worms, and that grumpy tomato plant that refuses to produce unless you sweet-talk it. Chapter 14. I became the old garden guy. Some folks dream of being astronauts, rock stars, or chess grandmasters. Me? I became the local garden guru. Folks started stopping by, asking for advice, bringing their grandkids to see the giant pumpkins I grew that one year. One of them looked like Elvis, no lie. I started teaching a little weekend class at the community center. Nothing fancy, just 8 or 10 folks, a bag of seeds, and a whole lot of laughter. And I tell you, when someone plants their first seed and watches it grow weeks later, it's like watching a baby take their first step. They glow, and I glow too. Chapter 13. The Unexpected Miracle. Now, friend, I gotta share something real personal. About 3 years ago, I started getting a little forgetful. Not the where are my glasses kind. I mean the scary kind. Names, dates, where I put the bloody rake, even though it was in my hand. The doctor said it might be the early signs of something bigger. You know, the A word. But then he said something surprising. He said, "Paul, you know what's helping you? That garden of yours." Turns out gardening stimulates multiple parts of your brain. Memory, coordination, sensory awareness, all firing like firecrackers every time you plant, dig, or plan your rows. It distracts you. It grounds you, literally. And it gives you this wonderful sense that life, no matter how old you are, still needs you to participate. You matter. You belong. You're part of a system, just like the bees, the worms, and that grumpy tomato plant that refuses to produce unless you sweet-talk it. Chapter 14. The Garden Rules I Live By. Let me lay it out plain. Here are my top 5 garden rules that apply just as much to life. 1. Start where you are. You don't need a fancy yard. A balcony works, a window box, even a bucket. 2. Be okay with mess. Life ain't perfect. Gardens sure as heck aren't either, but that's part of the beauty. 3. Celebrate small wins. That first sprout, throw a dang party. 4. Learn from failure. Plants die, so do dreams. Replant. 5. Share the joy. Give away a tomato. Teach a neighbor. Let someone in. Friend, these 5 things are. They've kept me going long after I thought my story was winding down. Chapter 15. My legacy is in the soil. You know, folks talk about leaving money, houses, fancy heirlooms behind. Me? I want my legacy to be in the earth, in the sunflowers that'll bloom every summer in the yard, in the lemon balm my granddaughter loves to rub on her wrists, in the worn garden gloves that my grandson might someday slip his little fingers into. I want people to remember that I lived, that I loved, and that I grew, even when it hurt, even when I didn't know what was next. That's what gardening teaches you. You plant without knowing if the seed will sprout, but you believe, you hope, you try anyway. Chapter 16. Final Thoughts from an Old Gardener. Now, friend, if you've made it this far, then maybe something's stirring in you too. Maybe it's been too long since you felt the sun on your face, the wind in your hair, and the thrill of watching something grow just because you showed up. You don't need to be strong. You don't need to be fast. You just need to be willing. Willing to try, willing to fail, willing to kneel in the dirt and trust that even now, especially now, there's still more life to live. So get your hands dirty. Plant something, even if it's just a single seed. Your body, your mind, and your soul will thank you. And hey, if you ever find yourself in my neighborhood, I'll save a spot on the bench for you. We'll sip lemonade, the strong kind, swap stories, and watch the roses bloom. Together. Take care, my friend, and never stop growing.